see
Yeah,
some.
they'll probably be in here.
Yeah.
How's everything, Dan?
No, it's 59.
One more treatment. We can Friday. So we are through 11 of 12.
Boy.
Oh, we missing some people tonight?
Yeah. And you're-
Here.
We got enough though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kevin,
just
come on.
Kevin will be here. We already have enough with the four of us. Anyway.
Yeah, 4. So how many is 4?
Yep.
Unless you want me to leave.
No, sir. You're committed at this point. You're here. Unless some big emergency
You
happens.
know I'm here as long as I may.
Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and call a meeting to order of the regular March 23rd meeting of the Ada Township Board of Trustees. Could we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and moments of silence?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, would our clerk please call the roll?
Supervisor Korth,
Here.
Clerk DeMarco here, Treasurer Moran,
Here.
Trustee Prose, absent, Trustee Hurwitz,
Here.
Trustee Carter,
Here.
Trustee Damstra, absent.
Thank you. We have an agenda in front of us that we received that's complete at this point. There's no changes on this agenda. Would someone move to approve as presented?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. The next item is the general township business. It's the motion to approve minutes and accept and file reports and communications under the consent agenda. We have 2 sets of minutes, which is the regular board meeting minutes of March 9th, 2026. The special work session meeting minutes for joint meeting with the Parks, Recreation, Land Preservation Advisory Board and the Township Board on January 29th. The second items to approve are the receive and file various reports and communications. The Covered Bridge Park Progress Meeting, number 15, minutes from March 17th. The Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge Project Meeting, number 3 minutes from March 6th. And the Eagle Sanitary Sewer Report for the water supply serving Grand Valley Estates, dated March 4th, 2026. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of those items?
Yeah, I just have one question in regards to that Eagle memo. I just noted there that Eagle's recommending developing either a capital improvement plan or Grand Valley. I'm not sure if we saw that within our budget, capital improvement, so everything that's covered.
Yeah, so it's
In
part of,
here
yeah,
is
the
in
water
the-
reliability,
okay.
yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and accept and file the reports and communications under the consent agenda.
Support.
We have our motion from trustee Carter. Support from trustee Hurwitz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of warrants. The first item is the Township General Warrants. Treasurer Moran, will you please present those?
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Good evening, everybody. Today, Monday, March 23rd, 2026, we have hand checks that total $9,375.08, and we have warrants that total $320,635.26 for a total of all hand checks and warrants of $330,010.34.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on this item?
No.
Okay, would someone consider moving?
I move approval of the warrant report for Monday, March 23rd, 2026, in the amount of $330,010.34.
I'll support.
Okay, thank you. We have the motion from trustee Hurwitz, support by clerk DeMarco. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Oh, excuse me, roll call vote, thank you.
Trustee Damstra absent. Trustee Carter.
Yes. Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Prose. Absent. Treasurer Moran.
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Supervisor Korth.
Aye. Thank you. All right, the second approval of warrants item is to consider the Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge Pay Application Number 3 from Grand River Construction in the amount of $292,107.93.
Good evening, Ryan Aarons with Moore and Brugink, Township Engineer. Have before you this evening pay request number 3 for the Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge Project. This is for work completed through February 28th. The vast majority of this pay recommendation is for the foundation work. There is a little bit of traffic control associated with that as well. But with the foundation work, there's reinforcement steel, the substructure concrete, and then the simulated masonry finish as well, and then some backfill on the foundation. We are still recommending 10% retainage on the total amount earned to date, which that total amount is $674,705.84, which results in payment for this recommendation of $292,107.93.
Is the project on schedule?
Yes, they're still progressing. This estimate did not include Pier 1. Pier 1 was placed in March. They just stripped the forms on that today. Riverworks Construction is going to mobilize this week and start putting the timber piles in for the boardwalk. As soon as those are in, Grand River can then pour the very southeasterly boardwalk abutment near Oxbow, and then all the foundation work is essentially complete for everything. Epic Excavating is going to start here in the next few weeks, doing the grading on the north and west side of the river, so we can prepare for concrete work and that type of thing. We're still on track to place the structure in mid-May. So,
And the company building that is like on track? In
I'm
other words,
sorry?
the company building the actual bridge itself, they're on schedule and?
yeah, Grand River Construction.
Well, but who's actually, is it the actual steel
Oh,
structure?
that is, True North, I believe.
Right. But I mean, their lead time and stuff is.
Yeah,
progressing
we're
nicely,
still,
everything's
we're
good.
still on schedule. We do need to pick a color this evening to
Right.
keep them on schedule for getting the structure painted.
Sure, okay, all right, thank you. Anyone else, any other questions from anybody? Okay. Would someone then move to approve this pay?
I move approval of pay application number 3 for Grand River Construction for the Thornapple River pedestrian bridge in the amount of $292,107.93.
Support.
Thank you. We have motion by trustee Carter, trustee Hurwitz, supported by treasurer Moran. This is also a roll call vote. Would Clerk DeMarco please call the roll?
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Prose absent. Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Damstra absent.
All right, thank you. All right, the third item here is to consider the Covered Bridge Park pay application number 5 from Caterburg Verhaeg in the amount of $66,554.46.
Good evening, Peter Spansky from Progressive Companies, project manager on the project. Pay application number 5 is here. It stretches from all the way in December up to February. We kind of extended it out because there wasn't a ton of work done, especially during the December and January period. Some of the big items here are stream bank restoration. A lot of those live staking actually happened in December post tree growth of the host that they take the stems from. The Veterans Memorial procurement. This is the down payment to get the manufacturing and up and going and all wrapped up. And then the helical piers are installed too during this time period. So those are the 3 big items. And yep, $66,554.46.
You have any comments on it? No. Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments for him
No.
or Peter? Okay.
If you need a motion, I'll make the motion to approve the payment to Caterburg Verhaeg in the amount of $66,554.46. Pay application number 5 related to the Covered Bridge Park.
Thank you. Do we have support?
Support.
Thank you. We have motion by trustee Carter, supported by trustee Hurwitz, to pay application number 5 to Caterburg Verhaeg for $66,554.46. Will you please call the roll, Clerk DeMarco?
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Trustee Prose absent. Trustee Carter, Trustee Damstra absent.
Thank you. Okay, this is our first public comment session of the meeting. Would any members of the public like to come up and make some comments on any topic that they'd like to speak about? If you come up, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is Scott Rissy. I'm from Thornapple Inc., 11240 Cascade Road. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that I noticed reading your meeting packet tonight related to the lawn care proposals that you'll be reviewing. I noticed in there you made some comments about, or your panel, I should say, made some comments and the recommendations related to the vacuuming of sites the spring and the fall. And I guess I wanted to point out that as a company, we would not have thought to bid it in that sense, because your RFP, if you will, says mulching is preferred to minimize grass clippings. Grass clippings from the mowers should be left on site when possible. In another section, it says all mowing adjacent to flower beds shall be performed using mulching kits. And then it goes on with some more details, but the wording is such that it minimizes an emphasis on the vacuuming. And in the past, when we used to do the vacuuming, we were asked to stop using vacuum equipment by prior staff because of the excess weight. And I know that the DDA and the parks and facilities have had a lot of staff changes in the past year or two. And so we have made changes as things have been brought to our attention, but not everything is, especially, with the document not changing. It's hard to read between the lines, so to speak, on some things. I also noticed there's some sites, or I noticed a few hours ago when I was reading this again, I noticed there's a site in here that's missing. I know with our company, we know what the intent of this was, so we would take care of everything as we had in the past, but I'm sure with a new company, there might be, some small additions that will be unexpected that might come up later. And I was thinking that if you met with if your panel had met with maybe the top 3 individual bidders, I know other municipalities that we've worked with have done that, where they would individually have a representative of each company that they're considering come in and kind of almost like an interview process for a short meeting. A lot of times that these types of things come out in the open, and then it gives the township an opportunity to contact the other bidders and say, hey, we just realized we forgot this. What do you think about that? And so it helps catch those things ahead of time as of later. And in closing, I'd just like to say that we had a great run with Ada. My family, our employees' families, everybody has really enjoyed working with the township and looks forward to continuing to work with you in any way we can. And so I just, thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Vanderweel, 11240 Cascade Road, Thornapple Inc. Going over some of the numbers this evening after reading the packet, I noticed that I think there's I guess I'd like to make sure that this is looked at, because I think alternative is going to be recommended for the new contractor. However, it looks like if you look at the numbers and you take the covered bridge park out, our bid was $96,000. When you take when you take covered bridge park out and Ada Park, our bid is $96,000 under theirs. And I understand that there's been some concerns about our performance, and like Scott had said, some of these things we were not aware of. We've been doing things the way that we had been directed to over the past several years, and with new people come new ideas, and things want to be done. I understand that the desire to do things differently, but that being said, I feel like that's a communication issue. I think that's something that we can certainly work through. That's something we can certainly make changes for. Our bid is from the math that I did, our bid is $96,000 under the recommended contractor. Like I said, I understand if you want to make a change. However, what I don't understand is that Van Vossen is also under the recommended contractor. They're $10,000 below the recommended contractor. They're a reputable contractor. I don't think anybody will argue the quality of their work. You can look at the ball fields at Lions Park. You can look at some of the other projects that they do. They do currently work for the township on other projects. And so I guess I'm confused as to why the township would recommend, or there's a contractor recommended who essentially the high bidder. There were 4 bidders. One of them I don't think was qualified, but of the other 3, the highest contractor is being recommended. So that's all I had. And again, thanks for a great run. We were happy to work for Ada. Our guys took a lot of pride in it. Leonard Field, I mean, the guys all love knowing that. Ada Park, those were all, the guys loved it. It was kind of a fight to see who could mow it and who had the opportunity to make it look great. So anyways, thanks for, I think it was 15 years. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, it's Alec Van Vossen Property Services, resident at 7120 Driftwood Drive, and that's Ada. And I was just wondering why I didn't get an interview for the lawn contract. We do a lot of work for Ada Township that we are thankful for: snow plowing, blown in mulch, playground mulch. And we do a lot of sites in Ada. We do the Forest Hills Public Schools. We do all the Baton Collective work and Thornapple Valley baseball fields and a lot of residential houses. So I just wanted clarification on why I did not get an interview. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up on any other item that they'd like to discuss in public comment? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close this first public comment and continue with the meeting. Some of the items that were discussed in the public comment will be brought back up when we hit item 11F, which is consider the award of the lawn care contract. So let's move on. So now we're going to move to the public hearing tonight, which is for our fiscal year 26-27 township budget and the 2026 through 2036 capital improvement plan. So at this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing for public comment. Would any members of the public like to come up to discuss the documents that we've prepared and we've put together for those two items, the fiscal year budget and then the capital improvement plan over the 10-year period through 2036? Okay, hearing no one come up and seeing no one come up, I'll close the public hearing portion of this and move on to our next item of new business, which is the resolution amending the fiscal 25-26 budget, which is part of the reconciliation as we move to approving the new budget.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. In front of you, you have resolution R03-23261. And so this is a resolution to amend the fiscal year 25-26 budget. This is done through resolution. We include a listing of the funds that were impacted. So not all funds are shown here, but not all funds had to be amended. The way our budget works, we've got funds like the general fund, but within each fund we have departments. So buildings and grounds, elections, assessing, all of these are different departments. And so for auditing purposes, even though sometimes we're actually lowering the amount of an expenditure or increasing a revenue, sometimes it is done to balance out the department pieces so that our auditor does not ding us on there. So we have general fund expenditures, PRLP expenditures, trail revenue, trail expenditures, building department expenditures, sewer fund and water fund expenditures, and then Grand Valley water expenditures. And so that is all that information is included in the proposed budget document. So you can see the amended amount.
These amounts have not changed materially since our work session that we had, correct?
No, so the amounts from the work session focused on the new budget. This is amending the existing budget. And so like the trails expenditure, we had budgeted that we were going to spend $7.418 million. Amended budget's 5.78, and realistically, I don't think we'll hit that because we didn't end up completing the Grand River Tribe piece. So that's why that one went down 1.6 million. Building fund expenditures, our contract services amount is up, so we amended that up. Sewer fund and water fund, we had some changes there in terms of sewer fund going actually down. Again, that was more to balance department pieces. But then the water fund, we had the significant water main break that was downtown, in the current fiscal year, which led to a significant cost. We had significantly more cost. We've been turning over meters, and we actually just, our utility accountant had just asked for a purchase order of about $55,000 for water meter replacement, and so that impacted that as well.
What I meant, and maybe I didn't say it very clearly, is like as an example, the trails expenditure, the changing by the 1.6, that figure has been moved forward into the new budget cycle, correct?
Correct, yeah, yes.
That's really what I was trying to say from a reconciliation.
Yeah, if something moved down because it wasn't done in this year, that's part of the new budget.
Correct, okay. Anyone have any other questions or comments on that? Okay. Someone move to approve the amendments to the 25-26 final budget reconciliation.
Move approval of resolution R-032326-1. Resolution amending the fiscal year 25-26 budget.
Support.
All right, thank you. We have a motion by trustee Hurwitz, support by treasurer Moran. This is a roll call vote. Will you please call the roll?
Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
trustee Prose absent, trustee Hurwitz,
Aye.
trustee Carter,
Aye.
trustee Damstra absent, supervisor Korth,
Aye.
clerk DeMarco, aye.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item is the employee compensation recommendation for the fiscal year 26-27. This number needs to be approved, and then that makes its way into the budget for the new year. That information and summary, do you want to say anything about additional?
It was just that we provide this summary every year to the board. It outlines the increase in wages, FICA, Medicare, retirement, so that we have a holistic package of what the actual compensation increases look like. And then those are also broke down by fund so that you can see the actual impact. We also call out paid on-call fire department wages increasing, and then also attach the ECI 3.5%, which is what the township uses for moving its salary ranges. And so happy to answer questions if the board has any.
Just one question, just as a point of clarity for everybody. The ECI we use, we go back to September. Has that been what we've routinely
Correct.
done?
Yep, yeah, so when we started that process, we wanted to pick, because September numbers really don't come out till October or November, as we're preparing for the budget, and so we use that set point every year, so we're not jumping depending on when we look at the number.
And that's been consistent, was at least during your tenure?
Yeah.
So it goes back 5+ years, yeah, okay. Anybody have any questions or comments on the allocations, the change, any of the other items? This was reviewed in quite a bit of detail by the Personnel Committee, which is made up of Aaron Damstra, Clerk DeMarco, and myself. We met, I don't know, a week or 10 days ago, and went over this with a fine-tooth comb, and we did make, some small changes at that time.
But I see here the Personnel Committee has reviewed it and is proposing.
Correct, yes, and it was, fully supported, and I believe that we came away with a unanimous approval.
So what, do you need a motion to approve this? or-
Yep.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the employee compensation recommendation for fiscal year 2026-27.
We have a motion by trustee Carter, supported by trustee Hurwitz, to approve the employee compensation recommendation. This is not a roll call vote, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. All right, the next item is Resolution 03-2326-2, a resolution approving the fiscal 26-27 budget appropriations. And this is what we a few moments ago had the public hearing on. Julius, do you have any additional comments related to this budget?
Yeah, the only other item, and Clerk DeMarco had brought it up prior to the meeting, was requesting whether we could, right now, all of the solicitation revenue goes under miscellaneous revenue under the general fund. And so she had asked, just for the metrics of being able to track it a little bit easier year over year, if we could pull that out of the miscellaneous revenue and create a new GL, general ledger number, that would essentially just be solicitation revenue, which is an easy change, but the budget in front of you does not have that in there. If the board is supportive of that change, I would just ask that any motion to approve this resolution also includes the change to add the solicitation revenue line item. And the numbers will still be the same. We'll just pull it out of the miscellaneous revenue and move it into the solicitation line item.
Good idea, Clerk DeMarco.
Thank you, I do have one once in a while.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
FYI, solicitation season has officially begun today.
Okay, great. Anybody have any This budget was, we did a special work session of the Board
Right.
of Trustees on this and spent a lot of time a week or so ago on this, so that there's no material changes
Nope.
in this since that meeting. Yep.
I move approval of resolution R-032326-2, resolution to adopt the general appropriations for the budgets of all Ada Township funds fiscal year April 1st, 2026 through March 31st, 2027.
Including a GL number
Including the
for
GL.
solicitation.
Yeah.
Solicitations.
And thank you, Treasurer Moran.
We might come up with another title other than solicitation revenue.
Okay,
Have at it.
all right. Is there support for the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so that was moved by trustee Hurwitz, supported by trustee Carter. This is a roll call vote. Clerk DeMarco, please call the roll.
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz,
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Prose absent, Trustee Damstra absent.
Thank you. All right, we're ready for now Resolution R-03-2326-3, the resolution approving the fiscal year 2026 through 2036 capital improvement plan. Do you have any questions?
No, just wanted to point out, one of the requirements of state law is that there's a 6-year capital improvement plan, and the township is actually has put together and is presenting a 10-year capital improvement plan. And the idea is every year this will continue to roll over for 10 years. We will be putting in the individual form sheets for like the first year into the project. The idea was, though, we didn't ask department heads to create each form sheet going out 10 years, just because that's a lot of work for projections. But it is something that is important. This will be posted on our website. This will be something that we revisit as we go through the year. If there is an item in the capital improvement plan in the current fiscal year, it is included in the budget. If the board approves the capital improvement plan and presented, if there's an item in year 2, it is not an appropriation. That is just a placeholder. That realistically, that conversation will take place again next year during the budget season. So if there is something in year 2 or year 7 or year 9 that you say, well, hold on, I don't necessarily like this, or I have a question about it, that's not necessarily, it's part of it for our forecasting purposes, but it's something we revisit on an annual basis.
Also, just to clarify for members of the public, with respect to capital improvement, it's literally capital items. It's like,
Anything over $10,000.
that is not a normal, regular repeating expense of the township. So it includes everything from fire trucks to new rails and plumbing and anything else related thereto. This was also, we spent time on this also at our special work session a week or so ago, so that we're all familiar with it at this point. Any other questions or comments?
Just to go back for some clarification on this Grand Valley Estates, I want to make sure, and maybe Stephanie can help me out here. I know we have a capital improvement plan, which is great, but then they talk about a reliability study to inventory the water system assets, plan for replacements. Have we done something? Are you doing something like that? Is there a cost associated with that? Or maybe Julie?
Yeah, so I'm happy to take it, just because it is included in the capital improvement plan under the water fund in Grand Valley Estates. And so we have budgeted $50,000 for a water reliability study, which was actually supposed to be on the agenda tonight. But with all the budget items, I had talked to Ryan, and that'll actually be on the next agenda.
Okay.
So we will have that take place. And so while we've put together a capital improvement plan, our capital improvement plan is based on the conversations with Stephanie, with Ryan, with both of their teams. But realistically, this will be a much more comprehensive review, as well as looking at, flows throughout the township, pressure reducing valves, all the new pieces of pipe that have been connected to our system. So it is significantly more in depth. And Ryan, I don't know if there's anything you want to add about the water reliability that I didn't touch on.
No, essentially, I think the only thing is we essentially have to do 2 of them, being that there's 2 systems there, but yeah, for the most part, you hit everything.
Thank you. I'm happy to see it in 26, 27. I'm looking at 35, 36, so my apologies. Thank you.
They need a motion.
Yes, please.
I move that we approve Resolution R-032326-3, approving the fiscal year 2026 to 36 capital improvement plan.
Support.
So we have a motion by trustee Carter, support by treasurer Moran. This is also a roll call vote. Will you please call the roll?
Okay, Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran.
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Prose absent. Trustee Damstra absent.
Okay, thank you. That motion carries unanimously. All right, we're ready to move on to consider the approval of a proposal from Great Lakes Fireworks for the 4th of July fireworks show for an amount not to exceed $25,000. Liz, you're going to discuss that for
Yep.
us, please.
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. So this is an annual item that we bring before the Township Board. In 23, 24, 25, we utilize Great Lakes Fireworks at a cost of around $21,000. This is a cost that is actually split between Ada Township and Cascade Township for the 4th of July celebration. When we reached out to Great Lakes this year, we asked for a normal renewal, and then we also asked, because it is the 250th anniversary, if we could get a proposal that was a little bit more spectacular. And so they submitted a couple proposals. I sat down with Jade Smith, the Cascade Township manager. We reviewed it as our 4th of July committee here, and we are making a recommendation that we move forward with a $25,000 show, which includes 6-inch shells, max shells. Our current show has 5-inch max shells. And so the idea is the larger shells fly higher, bigger explosions, and overall, I think we'll have a more positive impact. We could have gone with the 5-inch, and it could have potentially been a longer show or more shots. And so the committee reviewed it and discussed it and felt comfortable moving forward with the 6-inch shells. One of the pieces we did talk about, though, is making sure we're communicating to the public that this year we're going a little bit bigger because the 250th, because the natural reaction is next year when we maybe tone it down a little bit more, then they're going to say, well, that show wasn't as good as last year. But we want to be cognizant of that, and we want to make sure we're working with our partners in Cascade. Chief Murray has reviewed this. We're working at the April meeting. We'll have the license agreement with Alticor will be on the agenda if this is approved. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Sounds good to me.
Bigger is better.
And I also appreciate the sensitivity that to make the 250 special, the 251's kind of to go back to being like the 249.
We'll cross that bridge. We'll cross that pedestrian bridge when,
Love it.
Jokes write themselves.
All right, so if someone move to approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from Great Lakes Fireworks for the 4th of July fireworks show this year, the 250th anniversary, for an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Thank you. So we have a motion to approve by trustee Carter, supported by trustee Hurwitz. All in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we're ready to move to consider the award of the lawn care contract to Alternative Care for a period of 3 years from 26 to 28. Given the public comment, if we could spend a little bit of time on the work that was done preparing this, it would be appreciated.
Yep. Dennis?
Thank you, Township Board. Dennis Brinks, your BFG Director. Tonight, we have a 3-year contract that's up for request, and there was quite a discussion, but let me backtrack. I had requested 17 different contractors to bid on this, and 4 had submitted a bid, and 3 were actually present at the bid opening. Later, it was brought to my attention that we should have a panel of department heads along with Julius to discuss the bids, to not only see what the bids entailed, but to talk about past contract service or maybe look at a different contractor for mowing. And the panel was unanimous that we should switch to a different contractor, not only going with the lowest bid, but yet with alternative lawn care. And then it was also brought to our attention that if we were to subtract Ada Park from the bid, it would save quite a bit of money. If the BFG were to mow that Ada Park in its entirety for the 3 years, it would take off with the alternative lawn care bid $113,000, which would bring that bid then down to, or the award then down to $288,854.05. With the the panel's recommendation, and I apologize if I didn't have interviews with all of the lawn mowing companies, but yet it was that panel's decision to switch to alternative lawn care. So with that decision, I had reached out to Alternative Lawn Care and had an interview with them, but not with the other 2 contractors that are here present. It was brought up in the public comment that the one contractor, J&M Landscape, just did not have the equipment. They had 2 stand-up lawnmowers and 2 rider lawnmowers with like a truck and a trailer or maybe a couple of them. So the panel and myself didn't think that that would be a contractor that would be up to the standards of Ada Township, to not have that backup or the staffing levels that we're needing. So happy to ask or answer any questions that you have.
I have quite a few questions, actually. I'm kind of looking for the, let's see. Let me get my facts straight here. The alternative lawn care bid, because it looked like when I add that up and I look at Covered Bridge Park, there's not even a figure in there. So how are you backing off a number that they didn't even incorporate?
So Alternative Lawn Care did not bid on the Covered Bridge Park because it was just hydroseeded, and in their thoughts, they should not mow that until maybe in the fall or not even at all this year. So that's why it was taken off.
What was taken off? I'm not clear.
It just wasn't bid. That line item was not bid for Covered Bridge Park.
So
for
how do you
Alternative
get
Lawn Care.
to the 288,854?
He's referring to Ada Park. So Ada Park was the one that was backed out.
Ada Park was backed out.
Ada Park,
Yes.
correct.
So we backed out Ada Park instead of Ada Covered Bridge Park.
Well, there's 2 things on there. Alternative Lawn Care did not bid a line item for Covered Bridge Park.
Correct.
But then at the panel discussion, it was brought up that we should eliminate the Ada Park line item of, I believe it was, let me get to it, just to make sure that I'm.
So at some point in time, if I'm reading this correctly, that Alternative Lawn Care is going to have to cut Ada Covered Bridge Park.
Correct.
Okay, but there's
Correct.
no number in there for them. They're going to do it for free?
No.
Okay.
So at the request, at the end of this memo, it's asking that the board would request. It is respectfully recommended that Ada Township Board approve and award the 3-year contract for 2026 to 2028 of $288,854.05 to Alternative Lawn Care for lawn mowing services with the additional line item for Covered Bridge Park once construction is complete. So,
So we don't know what that price is.
correct, because at the time,
So it's only going to make the bid higher and the difference wider than what Thornapple has bid.
it would make it higher, correct?
Okay. A couple of things. Number one, listen, you guys do great work, okay? In this particular instance, you put the panel together. I guess I'm kind of curious why it didn't come in front of the Buildings Grounds Committee. I'm on the Buildings and Ground Committee. Would have been happy to look this over, review it. And then secondly, it's so hard when we get these bids, and when we get bids from bigger projects, they line them up in a spreadsheet, and they start to delineate between the two. And frankly, what really stands out to me, because I looked at the numbers, Scott, we have in our funeral cemeteries quite a bit. I mean, we're talking $135,000 to cut both the cemeteries.
And that was one of the questions asked.
I'm on a cemetery committee. I'm a big advocate for it, but if we're gonna spend money, I want money spent within the township, within the DDA. I mean, I'm not sure how we get from 70,000 to 135,000 with the cemetery. So, and again, I think what I'm not hearing as well, I mean, Scott wrote this letter. I don't think I've heard one complaint during the 3 years that Thornapple's been doing it. I mean, can you speak to some of the issues that you had with them?
So that's a two-part question. One, you would ask about why the cemetery was so high.
Yes,
Two was the concerns, correct?
yes.
Okay, so the first part, the cemetery, why that was so high with alternative lawn care. When I had that interview with them, they had said that they were gonna take a lot more pride in that cemetery with mowing it weekly, making sure that it was string trimmed every time they mowed, all the headstones, all around the trees, all around the decorations, or, you know, what is at the cemetery, along with blowing off the headstones if grass was thrown on those headstones.
Finish. Go ahead.
Parks.
I appreciate that. I go way back. I known Scott for a long time. I actually know Mark Van Vossen for a long time. And I know those guys take great pride in their work. I guess I'm a little disappointed that, number one, you interviewed one company and then do the three. I don't even know if there's a policy or procedure. Number two, I'm a little disappointed that it didn't come in front of the Buildings and Grounds Committee. And then thirdly, I just can't, there's no way I can get to voting for a higher bid here.
And also, if you're back, go ahead.
I'm sorry, just to interject one little thing regarding the cemeteries. And this last year was the first year that I had oversight on the cemeteries, and there were many, many, many times where the grass situation was not up to par. Weeks went by at some point where, the grass in some areas was so long, it was not rectified, even when comments were made, or, I reached out to people like, hey, you gotta get in there. Well, it was raining. Well, it was, I heard a lot of excuses and without follow-up. So I think services were a little bit,
Yeah, and again, so was Scott made aware of that? I mean, it sounds like he's pretty open-minded to issues such as that. I mean, for me, again, with all those things I just said, $70,000 to $90,000 discrepancy, we could pay an intern to cut those cemeteries for cheaper. So that's where I stand.
Treasurer Man, if I may, Dennis, one of the components I think that, and I'm seeing this now, and I think Kevin or Treasurer Miranda, answer your question of why it didn't come in front of the BGU committee, is due to the timeline and receival of the bids, bids being reviewed. We sat down with the department heads who, Wesley with parks, Joe with cemeteries, and
DDA.
And DDA, and there wasn't turnaround time.
And fire.
Trying to get it for this meeting. Again, that's not a good answer, just the reality of the situation. What I would say though is I think, even looking at the numbers now, because if you're going to add Covered Bridge Park in later and looking at Van Vossen's bid with $145,000 for Ada Park, if you pull Ada Park out, are they in line? And, I think what happened was when we sat down with the department heads, there was a lot of conversation, and I've talked to Scott before, and generally there's been reception when there's been complaints or concerns. I will say I've had department heads come to me and say, we'd be open to a change because it's been 15 years. Anytime you spend 15 years with a contractor, things blend together in terms of what issues are where and different staff. But Dennis, one of the questions I had for you was, is there an opportunity? Realistically, I wouldn't feel comfortable with the board moving on this tonight with some of the questions that were posed. I think the intent of originally reaching out to Alternative was to ask questions because we had questions to clarify their bid, not necessarily an interview, but I know how that looks to the other contractors. And so realistically, is there an opportunity that we can take a pause on this, sit down with the individuals that are involved, review the bids, make sure we're comfortable, make sure there's numbers related to Covered Bridge Park, all of this different stuff, and can we bring that back at the April 13th meeting, or is that really going to shoot us in the foot for the season?
The longer we wait without having a contractor, it's just going to make the grass grow longer. But I think that the contractors here present deserve that opportunity. And so I think we should kind of pause this for a moment, to have an interview with each individual contractor. And if they do have questions, if they have questions like Thornapple Inc. had on the policy itself or on the contract, saying, why weren't we offered to vacuum the DDA when the other ones were only bidding for mulching? So I think we do have to bring this open to the contractors and get some of their answers.
And so, I mean, my request for the board would be to table this until the April 13th meeting. Just, there's too much uncertainty. I wouldn't feel comfortable with the board making a decision. It seemed a little clearer when we had the conversation the other day, but based on, now comparative numbers, I think there was a lot of conversation of, we need to check with alternative on this X, Y, Z. Those numbers came back, and then I don't know that we necessarily clarified and then matched those against other numbers. And so I think there's value in going through that process with each of the contractors.
I can do that.
Can I ask a question? Actually, one remark is this: if you're going to take the time to revisit this, I think that the Covered Bridge Park should be in this. It's just that there won't be any work this year. And that if it's going to be a 3-year bid, then put it in for the last 2 years would be ideal. And the second thing is, why are we doing it over 3 years as opposed to just an annual bid? I mean, is there some magic to why it's done that way?
It's a price point. You can get better pricing for over 3 years, so it's not increased every year over 3 years.
All right, so it's basically just kind of, I mean, I agree with you. I kind of like the longer term, but I just was curious about it because that's part of what's going on here too, is that confusion because of Covered Bridge Park. And then also, is it possible that a year from now, you're going to wish that Ada Park was actually being mowed by them and you left
Potentially.
it out and all that kind of stuff, so.
Potentially.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, tabling it. One other number that was kind of curious, especially when you start adding and backing off, I think it was Finley with all the work that was done there. I believe that was a bullet point, but yet I'm not sure if those prices reflect that or what that is either. So, and then lastly, I understand the tight timeline here, but I'm always available. I would think that the majority of the buildings and grounds, if we can do it via Zoom, to kind of look over this, to make a recommendation, and so we don't run into these issues going forward, I'd appreciate it.
Can we have a BGU meeting before April 13th?
Yeah.
We can make it happen.
I do want to make another point. I think when you look at quotes and bids that are 30% under on others, I think it's a challenge to me to do that without having some explanation much clearer out as to why we would accept a bid 30% higher than, or actually another bid was 30% lower, and that we would make a differential on $85,000 adds up pretty quick.
Can I
Yeah,
also add one thing? I'm a big advocate for, as I've expressed, that we need to tighten up our language and really polish up our perspective as to what we're expecting from our contractors. So just to be a bit more definitive, so that at the end of the day, I believe that would be a better relationship. If we better define what our expectations are, then whoever we're working with could perform better and up to our standards.
No
And that was
question. And on
brought
top of that, I mean, again, I think we've made our decision, but the reality is we could have gotten these bids a month ago, month and a half ago. I mean, I'm not sure what the delay is. Mark knows our property like the back of his hand. I'm sure Scott does too. So, I don't know. I hate hearing timeline and time frame being the impetus to make a decision as a board member. That's really not helping matters.
Okay.
Thank you.
You want a motion?
Yes, a motion
We table this motion
Second.
until the next
for the
meeting.
next meeting.
All right, so we have a motion to table
And then after the BGU has a comment.
by trustee Hurwitz, supported by trustee Carter, to table this until the April 13th meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. So we're postponed for a month, and some work's going to be done behind the scenes.
Well, for
Well, 3 weeks or whatever.
next month, right?
Yeah, three
Yeah.
weeks or whatever it is. Okay. Now moving on to selection of the Thornapple River pedestrian bridge paint color.
Oh, it's an exciting time. We get to pick a color for the bridge. It's one of those things you don't really think about when you're making, that you're gonna install a pedestrian bridge, and then someone says, what color is it gonna be? And then you say, I don't know. But based on feedback from the board at our last meeting,
We reached out to the Connecting Community Leadership Team. We went through some of the different color options, and I've included a memo that kind of outlined some of the colors that we provided in terms of options, trying to limit the number just because there was so many different bridge colors. We wanted to try to keep a little bit of a framework. In speaking to the bridge contractor, indicated the bridge will be all exposed steel. From underneath, you're gonna see the pan decking spanning the beams. Everything else will be painted. And we need to make that decision now. I included some AI renderings of what the potential bridge would look like. Again, this is our best attempt at what this bridge will look like. So we're not artists. We provided the chip colors from the system and then let AI do the rest. And so based on feedback from the Connecting Community Leadership Team and staff, the recommendation was to move forward with a dark gray 26008 as the Thornapple River pedestrian bridge color. And I'm showing that right here on the screen. We did look at a brown, and a little bit like a lighter brown, trying to kind of match with the covered bridge. We looked at a gray. We felt like that washed a little bit too much with the pedestrian road bridge. We looked at black. Black's a little bit, it sticks out in that location. And so again, dark gray was the option that we felt most comfortable with. If the board felt differently, we can always go a different route. This is just a recommendation from staff and kind of leadership team. Realistically, let's say we order a dark gray bridge, and years from now, when we have to maintain it, it can be repainted a different color. I don't want to plan on building a bridge with a plan to repaint it, but I can't tell you what dark gray is going to look like other than it's going to be a dark gray bridge.
Can we vote for colors? Do we have a say?
Before we vote or whatever we're gonna do here, I guess, so it went back to the Connecting Community, and this is what their choice is, correct?
Yep, and staff
Did
was
they
in
have
agreement.
I understand the one gray being close to the Thornapple. They didn't like black, or they didn't like the dark gray. Was there any, gray was unanimous?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they preferred the darker gray rather than lighter. They just thought it was better to be a little bit darker.
And I know progressives here, and I'm probably gonna hate to do this, but I was just kind of curious as to what color they thought as professional architects.
Yeah, I like the medium dark gray. I wouldn't have black just because when, it's so.
Gets hot?
It's gonna,
Yeah.
be hot.
So I think kind of a medium dark gray I think it's appropriate.
Good answer.
Thank you for those comments.
Oh, I thought you were asking, maybe you weren't, so.
No, that was good.
We were.
Because all of a sudden you're gonna say blue, I was gonna just shake my head.
Ada blue? That's what I.
Ada teal?
No, the one in the middle, the federal standard. That's Ada color. It's our logo color.
Okay.
Just saying.
I think it's dark gray.
So are we ready? We need to vote?
I would like a motion.
So someone move.
Second.
All right, so we have the motion by trustee Hurwitz, supported by trustee Carter, to choose the dark gray selection that would be Connecting Communities group also approved unanimously. It's number 26008, dark gray. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries.
Just remember, if everyone loves it, we approved it. If everyone hates it, Connecting Community.
There you go.
Perfect.
Okay, so now we're on to our department reports, the township manager report. Julius, do you have anything you want to specifically talk about in your report?
Yeah, a couple items. Natural Beauty Road, public hearing. 3 Mile Road will be on Tuesday, April 28th at 6:30 PM. We're going to, that is a meeting of the Kent County Road Commission Board, not the Ada Township Board. But Ada Township is able to come, participate, as well as the public. We are going to be mailing notices to everyone on that stretch of 3 Mile Road because Kent County Road Commission does not do that. They just post a sign on the street that says there's a public hearing coming up. And so we'll be doing that. I've got upcoming meetings. One of the notes about upcoming board meetings, tomorrow, we're supposed to have a special board work session for board training. We know one of our board members will not be present. Trustee Pros had reached out. His daughter had another daughter, I believe, and he's down in Tennessee helping with the other 4 kids. And so he's not able to make it. I did talk to Eric Wolcott from MSU Extension today. He said there's no problem with rescheduling for a later date. We went through kind of a rough draft of the outline of the presentation today, meeting today. And so wanted to open that up to the board. I do think it's valuable for the board training if we have all board members present. Otherwise, it might not be as effective.
I do.
Yeah. I said, if we're gonna move it, can we move it after April 15th?
Oh, that's just looking out for yourself. Yeah, we can.
I'm the one who, when I saw that Trustee Pros was indisposed, and I really believe if this work session is going to be effective, we all need to be at it. Consequently,
Absolutely.
Yep. And then one of the other pieces, just, we're going to be having a meeting with Kent County Road Commission. We do still think there's room for more interpretation of maintenance of natural beauty roads without removing the designation. And so we're going to continue to work through that process. We've reached out to legal to get feedback prior to any meeting with the road commission. And then I want to take a second to thank Scott, thank Mark, Alternative, thank you as well. It's a clunky process, but this is why public meetings are public, and this is, the process worked. I wish, and I apologize that it was a failed process. We should have done better, and we will do better moving forward. And so we look forward to having those conversations prior to the next meeting.
Thanks for those remarks, Julius. I appreciate, in fact, I also, Dennis, I also appreciate your perspective on it. You made what was going to be awkward for the board, you certainly, and for me too, from my perspective, and you also addressed it. And I'm very happy that we've gone back to work on that more fully.
Agreed.
Okay, all right. Anything else on?
Okay, so tomorrow's board attorneys.
We're going to cancel tomorrow.
Just making sure.
I just put the notice out today, and now I'm going to send out the cancellation.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to report? Okay. All right, so now we're at board member comment. Would any members of the board like to talk about any other topic at this moment? Okay.
You might want to move to the public.
Then what I'd like to do is we have one more additional opportunity for public comment. I'd like to move that up because we have also scheduled what's called a closed session, which is to consider a written legal opinion, which is the board closes the meeting from being fully open. So would any members of the public at this time like to come up for additional public comment?
Scott Rissy, Thornapple Inc., 11240 Cascade Road. I just wanted to thank you guys for your discussion tonight and your action. Julius, I would never refer to it as a failed process. It's just a process that maybe needs a little further tweaking. I agree with the clerk on the blue. If it were me, I would have gone with the blue for the bridge.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's when I saw the packet earlier today. I
Obviously a
thought
man of good
that's
taste."
Ada's color right there. So, and I'm colorblind too. So I mean that's got to be worth something, right? And then the other thing I was going to mention, I think John was actually going to mention it, but I'll bring it up because I beat him up here. When you're reviewing those numbers, the graph that you had in your packet showed Covered Bridge Park removed for the first year for 3 of the contractors, and then it showed no price for alternative. But I think where the difference is that we're talking about is that you have to, if you remove their number from the 3-year period, you have to remove our Covered Bridge Park number from the whole 3-year period. And I think that's where the discrepancy really makes it a wider, and the local contractors, us at Vivasan, are a significant gap away from alternative. And that was all we really wanted to bring up. And the other thing I would say is I noticed the packet does not have the house next door still. I know the last go around it didn't have it, and we took care of it the last 3 years. It was supposed to be in there this time, and I didn't catch it when we started bidding on it, but I caught it today. This evening, actually, when I was eating dinner, I realized it's not there. So something that, you know, and that's what I meant. There's some things that, I'm sure there's gonna be things that we all would find that you just don't think about because you're so, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to come up? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close the board member, close the additional public comment for the evening, and then ask for a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
So we have a motion by trustee Carter, supported by trustee Hurwitz, to go into closed session. So at this point, we're
To consider written legal opinion.
to consider the written legal opinion pursuant to MCL 15.268, Section 81H of the Michigan Open Meetings Act.
We need to vote.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do. Yeah, so all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, so thank you to the public. We're gonna, we hold the closed session here, so we ask that the public would leave at this time.